This is Pussy Poppycock, and we got some fact checking to do. As all you know, the Oval Office hosted the world's coolest dictator this week, Naive Bukele, to discuss the recent deportations to his country, El Salvador. When Bukele was in the office, he was taking questions from reporters, and inevitably, somebody asked about Kilmer Abrego Garcia. And that's where we come in. The president says, let's hear the question from this very low rated anchor at CBS. So we're off to a great start. The journalist asks, do you plan to ask Bukele to help return the man your administration says was mistakenly deported? Trump immediately passes the buck. He says, let me ask Pam. Pam, would you answer? And there she is. Pam Bundy. She says, first of all, he was illegally in our country. And in 2019, the court ruled he was a member of MS-13. But additional paperwork needed to be done. It's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. Now, fact check. Claims that Abrego Garcia was MS-13 stem mostly from his wearing a Chicago Bulls hat. And also because some guy said he was in 2019 when he was detained. The claim mostly amounted to hearsay, and Abrego Garcia was given a withholding of removal order because he had a well-founded fear of persecution from the Barrio 18 gang. So the 2019 judges ultimately decided he was not to be returned to El Salvador and posed no risk to the community. Pam Bondi goes on. She says, the Supreme Court ruled that this is a foreign affairs issue, and if they, El Salvador, wanted to return him, we would facilitate that and provide a plan. Now, we'll get to the Supreme Court decision in a minute, but this statement wasn't good enough for Trump. He tells Bondi what a great job she does, and then he asks for this piece of shit, Stephen Miller, to weigh in, because the journalist, as he says, always asks it with a slant. That's why no one's watching him. Do you see how he's attacking the press? Keep watch of that. Stephen Miller then weighs in, saying he's a citizen from El Salvador and we can't tell them how to handle their own citizens. He then repeats the two court studies MS-13 lie that Pam Bondi just fed us and adds on his own that he had a valid deportation order, which we just fact-checked is the actual opposite of the truth. He had a withholding of removal order, which means they were withholding removal, which means they were withholding deportation, which means stay the fuck where he is. But I digress. Stephen Miller then says a district court judge then inverted that and said we had to kidnap a resident of El Salvador. Now, as many know, the administration has tried to claim that district judges are on a witch hunt because they've tried to hold the administration accountable for sending over 200 men to a foreign gulag without due process. Matter of fact, our Congressman Warren Davidson here in Fairfield is co-sponsoring a bill to bar district court judges from issuing injunctions on Trump, basically hobbling the judicial branch from holding the executive branch accountable. Baby Hitler goes on. That went to the Supreme Court, who said the district order was unlawful, and then he spins it as though the 9-0 decision against Trump's actions was actually in the administration's favor. First of all, the decision states in its opening lines that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. It says that in the opening lines. They then said simply that the district court judgment required clarifications with deference to the executive. Basically, they're saying that the district court judge needs to play nice with the White House. They're trying to not pick a fight with Trump, is what they're doing. Sonia Sotomayor's decision, which they all signed off on, all 9 of them, said, nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that the proper remedy is to provide Abrego Garcia with the process, with all the process to which he would have been entitled had he not been unlawfully removed to El Salvador. She also says it must also comply with its obligations under the Convention Against Torture because, they shipped him off to a concentration camp. And then she says, moreover, it has been the government's own well established policy to facilitate an alien's return to the United States if the alien's presence is necessary for continued administrative removal proceedings. And she finishes with saying, in the proceedings on remand, the district court should continue to ensure that the government lives up to its obligations to follow the law. At this point, you may be wondering, why are we making such a big stink about all this? It's just one guy. Well, it's not. The United States deported over 200 men on those planes to El Salvador. And CBS found that 75% of them had no criminal record at all. And none of them appeared before a judge before they were shipped off. So what we're fighting for here is legal precedent on both sides. On Trump's side, if he can get through with this one thing, that gives him legal precedent to ignore due process and invoke the Alien Enemies Act for anybody, not just those that are not citizens, but any American citizen, anybody who feels like it, political opponents, what have you. On the other side, if the left wins, they stop him entirely. They got to get every one of them back, not just Gilmore and Bego Garcia, even the team that was stopped by ICE. And one ICE agent said, wait, I don't think this is the guy that we're looking for. And the other ICE agent said, yeah, take him anyway. And I'm going to give you a $5 bet which ICE agent won that bet. The stakes couldn't be higher here, and we're all watching with bated breath what happens. So facts matter.